So I've been getting some questions lately on what are the biggest things that can hang up my mortgage loan. So there's generally four main things that can affect a mortgage approval. So generally it's income, assets, appraisal, and title. So we'll kind of jump into those a little bit. So income, basically what we're looking at is, are you a salary employee? Are you paid hourly? Do you have overtime? Do you have commission? Maybe your income is variable. Maybe it's seasonal. There's a lot of different factors that go into it. So when you're meeting with your mortgage professional, if you actually give them pay stubs, they'll have an idea on where you're at. A lot of times when I've noticed is when people fill out an application, they may put net income or something like that. Well, we want to make sure you get credit for all the income that you can. And on the mortgage side of things, we look at gross income. So essentially we're looking at if your hourly rate is $20 an hour and it's 40 hours a week, we're taking that and multiplying it towards 52 hours. Another common misconception is that people will say, well, I get paid $1,500 every 2 weeks, so I make $3,000 a month. Well, technically, if you're getting paid every other week, there's 26 pay periods, so you're actually selling yourself short a little bit there. So one of the things that we like to do is verify that up front when we're giving you a pre-qualification letter, so that way you're confident. The other thing is assets. When it comes to assets, basically it doesn't necessarily even mean how much you're wanting to put down. Maybe you have $20,000 in your savings account, but you're only willing to part with $10,000 and you want to put that down and not the full 20. You still want to list all of your assets. The reason being is that can count as reserves and help strengthen your profile. So that's a really good thing for you. And then you just let your mortgage professional know this is what I'm comfortable with bringing to closing. If it's, maybe you have $5,000 in savings and you're not wanting to bring a whole lot to closing and you want to use down payment assistance, there may be options there as well. So it's just having a conversation with your mortgage professional in regards to that. If you're disclosing that I have $20,000, but you really only have $10,000, just understand that only hurts you. So you want to be as upfront with your loan officer as possible because they can help navigate loan programs and so forth for you. So the next thing would be title work. So what happens on title that could potentially be an issue? The main thing is there could be liens out there that maybe you forgot about, maybe the seller forgot about. I've had it where somebody had an old lien that just didn't show up anywhere else, and all of a sudden title did a search and there it was. To be honest with you, I had that happen with me where I was in a car accident. It wasn't my fault, but there was a medical bill that wasn't paid that I never realized, and that showed up as a lien basically about 8 years later, and I didn't realize it. So I had to have that paid off prior to closing. So just something that to be aware of. Your mortgage professional can help navigate that for you. Generally, it's not an issue, but that is something that can potentially come up. The fourth thing would be the appraisal. So what can happen on the appraisal? Well, if you have a government loan such as a VA loan, a rural development, or a FHA loan, the appraiser is looking at that home in a little bit more detail. So if there's peeling paint, they might say that that paint has to be scraped and painted to meet that government code. It might be that there's missing a handrail on the steps and they would require that. So there's different things in regards to an appraisal in that situation. In general, the potential issue could be is if the home doesn't appraise. Typically, we're seeing that it would appraise for whatever you're buying the house for, as long as there's comparables that meet that. If you're buying something and maybe it's a bigger house in the neighborhood or whatever the case may be, there could be some challenges there, but in 99% of chances, the appraisal really isn't an issue there, and your mortgage professional can help navigate that for you. So those are the four main things that can affect your credit. Another thing I want to mention real quick that can affect closing is applying for additional credit. So when a mortgage professional starts your application, they pull a credit report, they're looking at the debts that you have versus the income that you have to figure out your debt to income ratio, and they're qualifying you based on that. Well, in a case that you take out new debt that they're not aware of and they find out about it later, which generally underwriters will do a search right before closing to see if there was any additional inquiries or anything pulled up. So let's just say you're like, oh, I've already gotten pre-qualified, I want to go buy a new vehicle, whatever the case may be, and you go do that. What happens is the underwriter will find out about it. Now they're wanting to verify what that payment is, and they're going to ask you for a statement, and they're going to want to know, add that into your debt to income ratios, and if that kind of throws things out of whack a little bit, what's going to happen is that's going to cause more undue stress on you. So the main thing that we recommend is don't apply for new credit or take out new credit. And then the additional thing would be don't change jobs. Don't quit your job. If you are looking at taking a transfer in like that, just talk to your mortgage professional to make sure that everything is in line with the guidelines. An example would be I've seen people that are salary employees and then they're going from salary to a commission job thinking I'm with the same company, I'm going to be making more, it's going to be great. Well, the challenge with the guidelines is commission commission income is factored in differently, and you have to have a 2-year history generally with commission income to be able to count that. So these are just a few things that can affect your mortgage and your pre-approval or your approval process and closing. So if you ever have any questions or concerns, certainly don't hesitate to reach out to your mortgage professional. If I can be of any service, please let me know as well. Thanks and have a great day.